Is it possible that we're actually going to see a rotation to keep Christian McCaffrey fresh, not just for this year but next year? Or are they just going to run him into the ground? What do you think?
I mean, I would hope so. We all see it, but I don't know. Like, I don't know why they do the things they do, Grant. We were talking about Jordan Mason a season ago, 2 seasons ago, and now he still leads the league in yards per carry, and he only had 1 carry last week. So I don't know. For me, one thing I will say is that Christian isn't 100%. You can see it the way he's playing. A lot of what you saw from Christian from down to down was more effort than it was just him being reactionary, and good on him. He wants to come back. He wants to play his hardest. And then there is an element to his game where he is not back as far as just back to football. I believe in one of his press conferences, he said this was maybe like the 3rd or 4th time that he had put pads on in 8 weeks. So that definitely means that he needs actually some real carries in the NFL. One could say that that's what Kyle was doing for him against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, this was a defense that isn't necessarily so good against the run, and they were already tender. No pause, because they had gotten ran against for over 30 attempts for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you could see it's maybe a little bit of thought process with Kyle saying, if there was ever a time for us to really get his legs under him, let's put him up against a defense that's a little bit battered and bruised and get his legs out there. Hopefully that's what we're seeing. Hopefully by this week coming up, we start to see more of Jordan Mason. I mean, that toothpaste is out the tube, right? Like you can't. We already know what Jordan Mason can do. We already had the Isaac Guerrero game against the Seahawks, so we know what they can do. At this stage of the game, I don't think that the fans are going to be able to stand for like a hobbled. Okay, remember when Dre Greenlaw was playing hurt and we all knew he was playing hurt? Like it was literally after every collision, he was having to get picked up off the ground. And we were like, dude, Dre's got to figure out a way how to protect himself or something, but he's hurt. And we all know he's hurt. Nobody has the stomach for that with Christian McCaffrey. It's just different.
No. And I asked Chris Forster yesterday, like, what do you see from McCaffrey? Is he all the way back? And he said, he looks like himself to him. The one thing you're concerned about with a player like him who's been out for so long and hasn't had any contact is fumbling. Like, is he going to get hit for the first time and forget what it takes to hold on to the ball and fumble? And to me, it seemed like McCaffrey was cognizant of that and making sure he didn't fumble, because like when you run like Jordan Mason, you just might fumble because you're refusing to go down. You're trying to fight for every extra yard.
Something's going to give.
He had 4 yards after contact, which again, first game back, completely understand it. But yeah, I feel like maybe once he gets a little bit more confident, once he's gotten hit a little bit more, he won't be thinking as much about not fumbling. I also feel like that was an issue for him in the Super Bowl. He was great all year. He fumbles on the first drive, and then I thought he was not himself the rest of that game.
I think Kyle gave up on him too. And it took a while for him to kind of psychologically get over that when Kyle had to go back to him, right? Remember, that third quarter was horrible, man. They didn't do anything on the ground. Kyle completely abandoned him, and then Kyle went back to him in the fourth, and then he had to kind of force himself to get back into the game. It's a human element game, man. Like, guys are not going to say anything, but they feel it when you walk away from them through the play sheet. They know that you shifted, right? And it takes some time for you to kind of like block for 30 minutes, go through a halftime, come through, have a horrible third. And then it's like, all right, dude, like, I got you to the dance. Are you going to give me the rock now? Like, what are we doing? So,
What's crazy is he was asked, Kyle, like, how come you didn't use Jordan Mason more in this game? Like, how come you rode McCaffrey so hard? He's like, I didn't realize I did, but when he wasn't on the field, it felt like he was off the field for 100 plays. He says, I think it's almost a direct quote. He was off the field for 6 plays. Felt like 100 to Kyle. So I think we know what's going to happen.
Pathetic.
They made him the highest paid running back in the league. They're not going to turn around and be like, oh, actually he needs a compliment. No, he's the bell cow. And if he goes down, that's on Kyle. So, I mean, if he goes down and he's being used judiciously along with Jordan Mason, that's just life. But if it's 20-something carries a game, that's on Kyle.
Yeah, but don't you kind of feel like everybody is like that on this team? Maybe except like, I don't know, Fred maybe? Everybody needs a compliment. It's like, Deebo Samuels gets paid, but we got to get an X. You know what I mean? It's like Christian McCaffrey gets paid, but, there has to be somebody else that
Bosa
pays
gets
behind
paid,
that.
but who's the bookend?
Who's the bookend? Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of feel like everybody gets paid, but for some reason, nobody actually gets tasked with, hey, just do it. You get the money, make it happen. Christian's making that type of money, but if you're being pragmatic about it, he needs help. He does, or you're going to lose him for the season if you don't.
And decisions that Kyle Shanahan's going to be held accountable for this year, Christian McCaffrey usage overall, his red zone, that's not a decision. That's just his creativity. And then just special teams in general. It's been an issue. You haven't made any changes to it. It's the same returner. If you can't fix that one and it costs the Niners a playoff berth, again, that's on him. You can't just chalk it up to bad luck.
Yeah, 100%.
And what sucks about the special teams, too, it's not like the Niners didn't invest. High investments on that side of the ball.
I mean, we thought that Isaac Guerrero was specifically drafted to be a special teams guy.
Might have been.
That's what I thought.
Cowling seems like he was.
Yeah.
These are fourth-round picks.
I mean, you drafted Jake Moody. Jake Moody was a high draft pick. I don't know.
4.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Wisnowski's going on IR.
Is Brian Schneider who does Brian Schneider know to still have his job, bro? Like, he gets the most loyalty of all. Like, I don't get it. The special teams has been like ridiculously bad all season.
Do you know Brian Schneider's story?
Tell me about the Schneider story.
Let me tell you about the Schneider story. So Schneider was Pete Carroll's special teams coordinator for a long time in Seattle, 11 years. On September 11th, 2020, I'm reading Wikipedia, for personal reasons, he stepped away from the team.
Okay.
He just walked away from the team like right before the season started. And he goes to Jacksonville, gets hired there the next year on January 22nd. On May 22nd, 5 months later, he stepped away from the team indefinitely for personal reasons. So he's walked away from 2 teams twice for personal reasons. Look, hey, man, I'm not judging. I don't know what the reasons are.
We don't know.
Like, that's a pattern, and it doesn't give a when his unit is the worst in the league, not just special teams, but of all the units, makes you wonder, like, what's going on.
Well, if Brian Schneider flies the coop this time, we can't. You heard it here first. We saw it. I just don't understand.
Think you can fly the coop 3 times and continue to work in the NFL. The fact that he's still in the NFL is Kyle Shanahan being charitable.
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't understand how this guy is not being. Remember Hightower? I'd kill for Hightower problems. Like,
where is he?
I don't know. Where is Hightower now? He's not in Miami anymore, is he?
Richard Hightower.
I think he's with New Orleans.
He's back in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Back in Chicago. Helping that team lose a lot. Not his fault, though. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. The special teams is the least of their problems.
Jimmy Kwan says Niners should have ran Mostert instead of Coleman. They win the Super Bowl. Niners run the ball in the 3rd. They win the Super Bowl. SF needs to run by committee this year.
It's true. They do need to run by committee. We all see it. They need to run by committee. That's going to be the offensive line right now, in my opinion, is the best cohesive unit on the team outside of the secondary. They need to run the ball, and they can do it by committee. They can help out the offensive line by playing different styles of runners, using Jordan Mason on the inside, getting guys like Guerrero to run the stretch stuff, and then keeping Christian McCaffrey on the field. Put Christian McCaffrey in the slot. Another thing that I feel like nobody is talking about that I want to bring up is Juwan Jennings is taking Brandon Ayuk's position for the rest of the year by Kyle Shanahan. You know what I'm about to bring up.
Do it.
In the world is Juwan Jennings taking over the X, and Deebo Samuel is not anywhere near that position, bro. Yep. Like, Ricky Pearsall is not the Z. I mean, Ricky Pearsall is not the slot, bro. He's playing number 2 position. So what is Deebo Samuel doing, bro?
To me, Juwan is the X, Pearsall's the Z, and Deebo is redundant.
The H? Like, what is he doing? He's not the Y. George is the Y.
I wouldn't put him at X because all you got to do is press him, and he's out of the play.
He's done.
Done.
Like, I'm telling you, bro, like, I saw that. I saw Kyle say that, and for full stop, it makes sense because Deebo can't run the full route tree, so you got to put Juwan there. But
right, and he's big enough and strong enough to beat the press,
to actually get open
he
and
runs
get
a
himself
4.7.
open.
It's nice to have an X who can stretch the field, and Juwan can't do that. Although he's averaging 15 yards a catch, which is commendable.
That boy making $27 million a year, Grant. He is stealing money.
Who, Deebo?
Yes.
Yeah, not Juwan.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're getting the deal of all time.
He got extended, and he's still underpaid.
Dude, they got Colton McKivitz at receiver. Basically, they got Colton McKivitz money at receiver at their X, and they got Deebo. He's like the world's most expensive fork. Like just nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, he's the world's most expensive spork.
Spork, yeah.
He's
like, what do you do?
Oh, he can do a little bit of everything. Yeah, but I can't actually eat soup with this because it's not a real spoon, and no one wants to eat meat with a spork, so he's a spork.
Come on, man. Like, I'm looking at his zone versus man efficiency. 69th in the league win rate versus man, 28.6% win rate versus man. He's running 66 routes. Dude, he's ran 66 routes versus man in the league. That ranks 30th in the league. He doesn't even run them versus man. His route win rate is 48.6%. That's 25th in the league. And his total route wins is 84 with the 48th percent in the league. He's ranked 48th in the league. Like, dude, he's only got 2 games over 100 yards receiving. Like, I'm just over the Deebo facade, dude.
He's also averaging 3.1 yards per carry. And you know what annoyed me? We spent all this time talking about running back by committee and Jordan Mason getting carries. Jordan Mason, 1 carry. Garendo, 1 carry. Deebo against the Bucks, 3 carries.
3 carries.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Be serious.
You know what? Thank you. Like, you know what? You said it. That's one of the biggest issues of this team. It's not for nothing. It's not the fact that the guys are getting older. We're having a problem with even using the right guys, bro.
Yep.
Like, I don't even understand why he's taking like Kyle Juszczyk and Deebo Samuel. What do they do? What do they do?
What they do is they develop a terrific, lasting relationship with the head coach. Those might be Kyle's 2 best friends on the team.
Yeah, coincidentally.
Yeah.
Right. And they put out like the least effort. Like, if you think about it, Kyle and Deebo are like exactly the same guys who have an exceptional like skill set to what they do, that they can use it on command. So because they can use it, they don't prepare. They don't necessarily do the little things right because they're always relying on that special thing that they have. That's Deebo's physicality and Kyle's play calling. But they're not realizing that is waning. And all of the other little stuff that you don't do is what supports what you do well. And you're starting to see it in both of them. Kyle's plays are getting stale, and the rest of the league is caught up with him. And he can't just press the easy button with a guy like Deebo that gives you ridiculous physicality at the snap of a button. And Deebo's body has failed him. He hasn't aged well. He's getting injuries, and he's out of shape. And you can see it in the way that he plays. I see like a duality in both of them, in my opinion.
Noah Wood says Deebo is the sharpest butter knife. Trade him.
Yeah, right. That's what I feel. Like, there's no teeth anymore with Deebo. I don't get it. I don't see him on the field and I'm like, now wait until Deebo gets the ball. There's not like a threat on the field anymore.
This year, yards after contact, 240 as a receiver, 80 as a rusher. He has 2 broken tackles as a receiver, 1 broken tackle as a rusher. He's 20, he'll be 29 on January 15th. This should be the last year of him on the team.
I think so, bro. And listen, it ain't personal. It's business.
It's business.
It's business. You know, but I don't see it anymore.
No. Jay McCallan says, is Juice going to be the holder with Mitch out? No, it's going to be Pat O'Donnell.
That's another job.
Sat next to him. I sat next to him on the plane on the way back from Fort Lauderdale, and I didn't know who he was. But I met him there in the locker room. He was like, man, I was sitting next to you. I was wondering, man, I was like, there's a lot of Niners reporters. I was like, yeah, man, I was right. I was sitting there writing articles about how the Niners need to find a punter. Little did I know. And the cool thing about Pat O'Donnell when he was flying out, he was not flying out to get the job. He was flying out for a tryout, which he won. So shout out to Pat. And I think it was probably how conscientious I
take it.
was sitting next
Go
to
ahead.
him. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Just, you know how Deebo Samuel's the reason that Jake Moody made that last kick? I'm the reason that Pat O'Donnell's on the Niners right now. So you're welcome.
There's so many things that you do. You're a sleuth.
Yeah, it's so humbling. Xavier says the Mason narrative that he's even a slight downgrade from CMC doesn't make sense. Dude's at a franchise record in yards and hasn't dropped a pass. I'm saying, man, he's a free agent. He's a restricted free agent. Some team is going to give him an offer. He's 25 years old with like 250 career carries.
Somebody's going to come after Jordan Mason. He's a starting running back in the NFL. He's not a backup.
And he's got fresh legs. Christian McCaffrey does not. He's got a lot of tread on his tires. Jay Figs Ramon says Deebo Cabo Samuel. Twice he said it. That's how much he meant it.
He understands.
He understands. No, he's a spork. I love that. I think that's the most apt description of the gadget. Like, what kind of a gadget is he? Oh, he's a half spoon, half fork. Oh,
he's a
damn,
sport.
that's a game changer. Sport
key.